When a woman truly loves you, she doesn't always show it with words or affection. Sometimes, she grows quiet, withdraws, observes, and that silence leaves you confused. But what if I told you, her distance might be a sign of something deeper? In this video, I'll show you why women often ignore the very men they love most. And if this resonates with you already, take a second to subscribe to StoicLegacy. It's free, and it helps spread this message to others who need it. Sign number 1. She pulls away to protect her feelings. When a woman truly begins to fall for you, she doesn't always move closer. Sometimes, she retreats. Not because she wants to hurt you, but because she is terrified of being hurt herself. Her love makes her vulnerable, and that vulnerability creates a storm inside her. When she realizes how deeply she feels for you, she doesn't celebrate it like a victory. She analyzes it like a threat. She starts overthinking every word, every interaction, wondering if she gave too much of herself away. You may notice her becoming quiet, pulling back, not responding with the same warmth you once knew. It is in this silence that her emotions are most active. It is in her distance that her heart is speaking the loudest. She pulls away not because her love has weakened, but because it has grown too strong to handle without fear. You must understand this. You must recognize that her silence is not rejection, it is self-protection. This is where your test begins. If you chase her in this moment, if you beg for clarity, if you react with desperation, you lose her respect. She needs to feel that you are unshaken, that her emotional turbulence does not throw off your internal balance. The man she truly falls for is not the one who clings, but the one who holds steady in her absence. The one who honors her space, not with resentment, but with quiet confidence. She watches closely in this phase. She listens in the silence. She pays attention to whether your strength is real or performative. And if you pass this test, if you stay grounded and let her come to terms with her emotions, she will return with more love than before. She will trust that you are safe to love. That you do not weaponize her feelings or panic when the waves get rough. You become the eye of the storm, the peace within her chaos. This is Stoicism in love. It is restraint with understanding. It is power without aggression. It is silence with presence. And it is that presence, that unshakable calm, that calls her back not just to you, but to a deeper version of herself. So remember, her pulling away is not a goodbye. It is a cry for safety. And only a man with composure, discipline, and quiet strength can answer it in a way that makes her feel seen, not suffocated. Loved, not controlled. Protected, not pursued. Sign number 2. She tests your patience to see your depth. When a woman truly loves you, she might not always show it through tenderness or praise. Sometimes, she tests you. Not to provoke you, but to uncover the real you beneath your surface. Love, for her, is not built on smooth conversations and perfect moments. It is built on truth. And truth only reveals itself when the emotional waters get stirred. So she will push. She will challenge your silence. She will question your choices. She will act distant and observe. It is not a game. It is not manipulation. It is her deepest instinct to find out whether the man she loves has the patience to carry something real. In these moments, the average man cracks. He argues. He explains. He demands affection in return for what he gives. But the Stoic man watches. He breathes. He does not get dragged into emotional chaos. Because he knows something she is still learning. That true love is not about constant reassurance. It is about calm in uncertainty. She wants to know, deep down, that you can be her anchor, not her mirror. That you do not simply react to her emotions, but hold your own no matter what energy she brings. If she is angry, you remain composed. If she is cold, you remain kind. If she is testing, you remain steady. This is not weakness. This is the highest form of strength. It is the kind of masculine energy that does not need to prove itself because it already knows its worth. And as she watches you stay centered, even when she pulls you off course, something inside her shifts. She begins to feel safe. Not just emotionally, but spiritually. She realizes you are not a boy craving attention, but a man who can hold space. A man who does not beg, does not break, and does not run. You show her that peace is possible even in emotional storms. That patience is not passivity, but power under control. And when that realization hits her, the love she gives back is deeper than anything she could offer before. Because now she knows. You are not just someone she loves. You are someone she can trust with her most chaotic self. That is how Stoic love works. It is tested, not handed. It is earned through silence, not noise. And the reward is not just affection. The reward is access to her soul. Sign number 3. She gives you space because she respects your independence. When a woman is deeply in love, she does something rare. She steps back. Not because she wants distance, but because she honors your path. Real love is not about possession, it is about recognition. She sees your need for solitude, your hunger for growth, and your devotion to something greater than just the relationship. And instead of clinging tighter, she loosens her grip. She watches you walk into your world, into your mission, into your silence. And she does not panic. Because her love is not rooted in insecurity. It is built on trust. That space she gives is sacred. It is not rejection. It is not neglect. It is her way of saying, I see who you are beyond me, and I want that man to keep becoming more of himself. It takes emotional courage to love like this. Because the world teaches her to worry when a man grows quiet. To fear abandonment when he chooses purpose over proximity. But she does not fear it. She embraces it. Because she has felt your presence in her absence. She knows your heart beats for her even when your body is elsewhere. And that knowing is enough. She does not demand constant messages, constant updates, or constant attention. She allows silence to exist without suspicion. She allows distance without drama. And that space she gives you becomes your fuel. It allows you to sharpen your mind, deepen your vision, and return to her not as someone drained by the world, but someone strengthened by it. The man she loves is not afraid to be alone. And she loves him even more because of it. This is the Stoic dynamic. Not codependence, but co-elevation. You rise, and she respects it. You disappear into your purpose, and she remains grounded in faith. She loves you enough to not interrupt your evolution. And in doing so, she becomes part of it. This is not distance out of disinterest. This is presence without pressure. The kind of love that gives, without needing to grip. And in that freedom, your bond becomes unbreakable. Because it is not built on control. It is built on mutual reverence. She gives you space not to leave you. She gives you space because she sees the man you are becoming needs it. And that quiet support is louder than any word she could ever say. Sign number 4. She stops questioning your silence because she trusts your heart. When a woman truly loves you, she learns to hear the words you never say. She stops panicking when you go quiet. She stops overanalyzing every gap in the conversation or every unread message. Why? Because she has grown beyond the need for constant reassurance. Her love no longer depends on how loud you are, but how present you are, even in silence. Most people chase noise. They believe that more words mean more connection. But a woman who is deeply in love with you, she begins to understand the power of quiet. She realizes that your stillness is not a retreat from her, but a return to yourself. And she respects that. She knows that real strength often walks in silence. That when a man grows thoughtful, withdrawn, or inward, it is not always a sign of detachment. Sometimes it is growth. Sometimes it is processing. Sometimes it is simply the way a man rebuilds his foundation. Instead of demanding explanations, she starts observing with grace. Instead of creating tension, she becomes still with you. Because her love is no longer fragile. It is deep enough to survive uncertainty. It is wise enough to hold space without needing to fill it. And that trust changes everything. You no longer feel like you must always explain yourself. You no longer fear that your introspective moments will create chaos. You are allowed to be a man in process. A man who sometimes needs silence to stay sane. And she becomes your calm, not your storm. When a woman loves you like this, she turns your quiet into comfort. She understands that if something truly mattered, you would speak. That if there was a wound, you would share it. But until then, she gives you what most never offer. Patience. Respect. Emotional security. She does not mistake silence for danger. She sees it for what it is. A pause in the music, not the end of the song. And because of that, you begin to open up on your own. Not out of pressure, but out of peace. You speak because you feel safe, not because you are forced. This is what real love looks like. When silence no longer feels like abandonment. When trust becomes the language spoken in the quiet. And when a woman holds that space for you, she shows that her love is not just loud, it is wise. Sign number 5. She gets distant to protect her emotions, not to punish you. One of the most misunderstood signs of deep love in a woman is her sudden emotional distance. Most men panic when this happens. They assume she is losing interest. That she is pulling away out of coldness or resentment. But often, the opposite is true. When a woman truly loves you, she becomes more vulnerable than she's ever been. She opens up parts of herself that no one else has touched. And with that vulnerability comes fear. Fear of being hurt. Fear of being too much. Fear that the love she's giving is not being returned with the same depth. So what does she do? She steps back. Not to create conflict. Not to manipulate you. But to protect the part of herself that is most exposed. Emotional distance, in this case, is not punishment. It is self-preservation. She is not trying to make you chase her. She is trying to see if her heart is safe with you. If she loves you deeply and senses inconsistency, her instincts tell her to withdraw. To observe. To breathe. This is when many men react badly. They accuse her of being cold. They try to force connection. They panic. But a wise man sees deeper. He realizes that this space is a moment of truth. It is her way of asking, without words, "Can I trust you with all of me?" She needs to know that her heart won't be mishandled. That her depth won't be ignored. And the way you respond tells her everything. If you attack her distance, she closes further. If you try to fix her like a problem, she feels misunderstood. But if you respect her silence, if you stay grounded and patient, she will return on her own. Stronger. Softer. More sure of you. This is the paradox of love. Sometimes the one who loves you most needs to walk away for a moment, just to feel safe again. Not because the love is dying, but because it's too intense. And when you understand this, you stop taking everything personally. You learn to hold space for her emotions, not control them. You become the calm she can return to, not the storm she has to run from. This is how deep love survives. With space, understanding, and patience that feels like strength, not silence. Sign number 6. She gets upset over small things because everything you do matters to her. When a woman is deeply in love, the tiniest actions from you carry immense weight. A late reply. A shift in tone. A forgotten detail. To someone else, these things are meaningless. But to her, they echo. Not because she is overreacting or being emotional, but because you are the center of her world. And when she loves that deeply, nothing is small. Every gesture, every word, every silence is felt. When she gets upset over what seems trivial, it is not the thing itself that hurts her. It is what it might mean. She starts to wonder if you care as much as she does. If the connection is still sacred to you. Her love sharpens her sensitivity. And in her mind, your smallest change might be a signal of emotional distance. So she questions, she reacts, she feels more. This is where many men get it wrong. They dismiss her feelings. They call her dramatic. They get defensive. But in doing so, they miss the truth. Her frustration is not rooted in anger. It is rooted in fear. Fear that you might be slipping away. Fear that the bond she treasures is being taken for granted. If she didn't care, she wouldn't notice. She wouldn't feel. She wouldn't bother. But she does. Because your presence matters. Your consistency matters. When she's in love, she watches you with her heart, not just her eyes. And that means the tiniest crack in the connection feels like a fracture. It's not about perfection. She doesn't need you to never mess up. What she needs is to know that you understand her depth. That you care enough to ask, to listen, to reassure her. The man who knows how to hold that space, who sees past the surface and into the meaning behind her reaction, becomes irreplaceable. He doesn't dismiss her as moody. He honors the fact that her emotions are mirrors of her investment. That her pain is proof of her love. And slowly, her defenses melt. Because in you, she finds safety. Not from mistakes, but from being misunderstood. So next time she seems upset over something small, pause. Look deeper. She's not testing your patience. She's revealing her own. She's saying, in her own way, you matter to me so much, I feel everything. That is not weakness. That is the raw strength of love in its purest form. Sign number 7. She pulls away emotionally to protect herself from how much she feels. When a woman loves you deeply, the intensity of her own emotions can overwhelm her. It is not that she wants to leave or that her love has faded. It is because loving you has made her vulnerable, and that vulnerability can start to feel dangerous. So she retreats. Not to punish you. Not to manipulate. But to survive her own depth of feeling. She begins to fear that her heart is too exposed, too dependent on your presence, your words, your warmth. And so she builds a wall, one quiet act at a time. She talks less, not because she has nothing to say, but because every word might reveal too much. She smiles less, not because you bring her less joy, but because joy now comes with a cost. Loving you means risking pain. And if she senses even a shadow of inconsistency, neglect, or emotional drift, she braces for impact. Women who love deeply often withdraw not because the love is dying, but because it is alive in a way that threatens their sense of control. They fear being seen too clearly, needing too much, giving too freely. And so silence becomes their shelter. Distance becomes their defense. But behind that silence is a heart still beating wildly for you. Behind that distance is a mind replaying every moment, analyzing every word, missing you in secret. This emotional withdrawal is not rejection. It is protection. A woman who pulls away is often hoping you will reach in. That you will see beyond her guarded tone. That you will recognize the pullback as a cry for stability. She wants reassurance, not lectures. Presence, not promises. She needs to know that her depth is not a burden, that her emotional intensity will not scare you away. The man who understands this, who approaches her distance with calm strength, becomes her anchor. He does not panic. He does not chase. He simply stands firm, offering consistency where her emotions feel chaotic. And in that stillness, she finds the courage to return. A woman who pulls away often wants nothing more than a reason to come closer again. She just wants to know it is safe to love you this much. That her heart will not be mishandled. So if she retreats, do not match her distance. Meet it with patience. Because love this deep does not vanish. It only hides when it feels exposed. Wait with grace, and you will witness her unfold again, more open, more honest, and more in love than ever. When a woman truly loves you, her silence is rarely the absence of feeling. It is often the weight of emotions too deep to voice. Her distance is not detachment, it is fear that her love makes her fragile. The more she feels, the more she hides. But you must remember, a man shaped by Stoicism does not chase confusion. He does not beg for attention or crumble under emotional tides. He stands still like a mountain. He reads the silence, not as rejection, but as a storm waiting to pass. He listens to the pauses and responds with presence, not panic. That strength makes him unforgettable. So when her love grows too heavy for her to carry openly, carry the moment for her. Let your stillness speak louder than her silence. Let your patience remind her what safety feels like. In that quiet strength, love is not lost. It is deepened. And when she returns, you will not have to ask why. You will already know. She loved you all along, but she needed to know she could break without being abandoned. That is the love a Stoic man protects. That is the legacy you leave when you learn to stay calm when others break down. If you felt the weight of these words, subscribe to Stoic Legacy as a favor, not just to support this channel, but to help more men who need this message find their calm. And as always, stay stoic and build your Stoic legacy.